Welcome to the Diverse Minds podcast, where we give you the tips, tools and techniques you need to be a mentally healthy and inclusive leader. Each week, you'll hear about a variety of topics linked to mental health, well-being and diversity that will enhance both your professional practice and personal well-being. Hi, it's Layla from Diverse Minds, and I'm really excited to introduce the first episode of my podcast. I wanted to talk a little bit about how I started Diverse Minds, the business, and I have to say I never ever thought I'd be running my own business. Some people are entrepreneurs and they know it from day one, from teenagers, and they do young enterprise and they know what they're doing. I have to say that wasn't me. My background is in higher education. I worked at the University of Leeds Student Union. I then went on to work at the University of Oxford for 6 years, and for 5 years I was the head of the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Centre at Imperial College. And what a fantastic job it was, and I have to say I left with a very heavy heart. However, when I was there, I built up all the work on mental health for staff. That included me being very privileged to train as a mental health first aid instructor in 2013. I remember quite clearly running 2 pilot programmes of the 2-day mental health first aid course, 1 cohort of 8 and 1 cohort of 9. And I thought to myself, oh, that's great. I have those 2 cohorts. I'll pilot a review, see how they go. And from that moment forward, every single course that we ran at the college was fully booked because of the appetite for mental health and well-being. And I had some fantastic times. I managed a really big team, but I also commuted around 5 hours a day because I lived in Oxford and I used to get the coach, as many of you will be familiar with, I'm sure, because it's kind of famous if you live around there, the Oxford Tube. And I used to get up super early because you'll also know about the traffic in London, which is a complete nightmare. But I did it for 5 years and I didn't regret it. And the traction and the support and the budget that I was given at Imperial meant that other institutions picked up on this. And of course, working in the global heart of London, I was invited to many events to speak about what we'd done, how it had worked, how mental health was getting off the ground, how I managed to get staff on board, how important it was for staff who were student-facing. And other organisations came to me and they said, oh, Layla, we know what you're doing at Imperial. Will you come and do a talk for us, do a little training? I thought, oh, that's nice. And I told my manager, and she was really supportive, and she said, that's fine, you can go, but if you get paid, all the money needs to go into the departmental budget. And I said, oh, that's fair, thank you very much. And I used that money for staff away days. And then it kept happening. So I went back to my manager and I said, oh, I've been asked to do some more things. And she said, you can go. You just need to sign a disclaimer form and buy extra annual leave. And if you do anything on work time, the money needs to go in the departmental budget. So I thought, well, that's fair. I can't say fairer than that. And then it kept happening to the point where I was almost running 2 jobs, a full-time job at Imperial College and at the weekends trying to catch up on consultancy work. So in April 2017, I made the decision to start my own business. And actually, it wasn't just a cold jump. It was thinking about other people as well. So my partner said to me, well, I think you need to look after your own well-being. You're great at telling other people about theirs. What about you? And I thought, yeah, you're right, actually. So we moved, started anew. And before we moved, I went on a business accelerator course and I had a fantastic mentor who said to me, yep, the time is right. You really shouldn't take another job. So I didn't. And I tell you this because, not only did I hear numerous accounts, negative accounts from staff who had been mismanaged in a mentally unhealthy way, ranging from unrealistic time pressures, no workplace adjustments, and being bullied was a real trigger for mental ill health. And actually, I felt I could do more good as an individual one-woman band than potentially in another organisation. And just a few stats to put that in context for you. In 2016-17, 12.5 million days were lost due to work-related stress, anxiety and depression. Mental ill health cost UK businesses in the same year around £35 billion. And sad to say, that figure is not decreasing. 1 in 6 employees will experience mental ill health at work, and that's slightly less than the 1 in 4 because clearly some people's mental ill health is so severe they're not able to stay in employment or they're not supported properly to stay in employment. Also, 75% of mental ill health starts by the age of 18, so the cuts that we've seen in child and adult mental health services, again, we're going to see this figure increasing. And Interestingly, to top it off, less than 25% of all managers in the UK have received any specific form of mental health training, even though we know from the Business in the Community survey, Workplace Wellbeing, that many managers do realise that their own wellbeing and that of their team is their own responsibility, and they do want to have training in this area, but it's often not available. So I've got the business, I do training, consultancy on coaching to create equal, happy and mentally healthy workplaces. Why have I decided to launch a podcast? Well, those of you who know the diverseminds.co.uk website know that I've had a blog in place and I've been really lucky to have some great guest bloggers. But those of you who know me well, in a personal capacity mainly, will also know that I prefer talking to writing, and you'll vouch for the fact that I love to talk. I also asked a friend of mine recently, I've been running the business for nearly 2 years. What are my next steps? Because I was struggling a bit. And she said to me, Layla, you need to go deep, not wide. And I thought that was a really profound thing to say. And so as part of that strategy, I've decided that I want to build a relationship with an audience and answer questions and use my knowledge and share it with you. And I opted not to go for video because podcasts have really been a companion for me as I've grown my business. And I want to build a deeper relationship, and actually video just isn't really me. And why now? Well, I wanted to make sure that podcasts that I produce and give to you is done professionally. And in order to do that, I just needed time to think about the best way to do it professionally. I also wanted to live by what I think, which is catering to people's learning styles. So when I develop my training, I make sure there are a mix of exercises for people who might like more active learning, for people who like reflective learning, for people who are more auditory learners. And this is exactly the same with podcasts. I know that reading is not everyone's preferred style, so I wanted to make sure there was another medium that you could access information from me. I want to share knowledge and I want people to feel included. If you've listened to some of the podcasts I've been a guest on, I talk a lot about exclusion, how much of my childhood experience is about exclusion. I want people very passionately, and I feel very strongly about people being included. I also wanted to help people who might be stuck mentally, whether that's with your work-life balance, how to support a colleague, knowing how to organise great events for Black History Month, how to be an LGBTQIA ally. And of course, I want people to get to know the wonderful experts I've met through my personal and professional career. I also want to share knowledge if you can't attend training sessions in person. So regardless of our role, our type, our level or our organisation, we can all cultivate a mentally healthy leading manager approach in the work we do, through knowledge, through communication and sharing ideas. And remember, it's a journey. You don't have to do it all on your own. There are times where I struggled, where I thought, what should I do? And of course I had colleagues I could turn to, but we were all quite busy and exhausted. So make sure that you have support. Take it step by step. Celebrate your success, and I want to help you on that journey. And know that sometimes it will be 1 step forward and 2 steps back. And that's why the Diverse Minds podcast is going to be here with you. So if you want to know more, what are you waiting for? Go onto the Diverse Minds website and you can download the Mentally Healthy Line Manager ebook that I've written in response to not only my experience, but all the questions that I've been asked during training sessions and coaching sessions as a resource for you. If you're interested in work-life balance, book onto the waiting list for the next Mentally Healthy Leader course. The link's in the show notes. If you fancy working with me in a one-to-one context, please book a free call through the website so that we can chat about what might be right for you. And I'm always here to help you with your wellbeing strategy and other information you may need. So I really look forward to you being part of the Diverse Minds community, for us starting a conversation and being mentally healthy leaders together. Thanks for listening to the Diverse Minds podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you access your podcasts from. You can also connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Tune into next week's episode of the podcast, where I'll bring you more insights on mental health and inclusion. Bye for now.